Hello Magic fans, I'm Beef and this is another standard gameplay video featuring a mono white humans deck. First up the 1-drops, and we have Lunarch Veteran, a 1-1. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life, which is very useful generally, but especially so in this mono red meta. And then when it's in the graveyard, you can cast it for 2 mana as a Luminous Phantom, which is a 1-1 flyer and causes you to gain 1 life whenever another creature you control leaves the battlefield. Then we have Recruitment Officer, a 2-1. You can pay 4 to look at the top 4 of your library and put a creature card with mana value 3 or less into your hand. So this can hit all creatures in our deck apart from a Knight-Errant of Eos. Next up we have 2 copies of Squelv, one of the only non-humans in our deck. It's a 1-1 with Toxic, but its main ability is that you can pay 1 white Phyrexian mana and tap it to choose a colour, and then another creature you control gains hexproof to that colour and is unable to be blocked by creatures of that colour. Phyrexian mana means it can be paid using the white mana in this example, or by paying 2 life, which means we can activate it even when tapped out. Our final 1-drop is 2 copies of Warden of the Inner Sky. It's a 1-2 that allows you to tap 3 artifacts and or creatures you control, and you put a +1/+1 counter on it. And as long as the Warden has 3 or more counters on it, it has Flying and Vigilance. This can tap itself, but it can only be done as a sorcery, so bear that in mind to tap it or other creatures you control when you are confident you don't need those blockers. Onto the 2-drops, we have Coppercoat Vanguard, a 2-2 that gives all other humans you control +1/+0 and ward 1, making them hard to remove through spells. Then there's Intrepid Adversary, a 3-1 with lifelink, and when it ETBs you can pay 1 and a white any number of times to put a Valor counter on it, and then all creatures you control get +1/+1 for each Valor counter on the adversary. So if you have 4 mana, you can play it for 2, pay that extra 2 once, and all creatures get +1/+1. If you have 6, you can pay it twice, and they'll get +2/+2, and so on. This ability does include itself, so it will give itself +1/+1, or however many counters you put on it, which is really powerful as it has lifelink. Turning it up to a 5/3 is incredibly powerful, especially if you have more than one on the board. Then we have Ossification, the only non-creature spell in the deck. You enchant a basic land you control and it exiles a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls until Ossification leaves the battlefield. It's a great removal spell and a really good way to take out Sheoldred, as there aren't that many ways in Standard of dealing with enchantments. And then last up in the 2 slot is Thalia, a 2-1 with First Strike that causes all non-creature spells to cost 1 more. This is symmetrical, so it will make your Ossification cost 3, so a bit of a non-bo, but it is worth it. It makes all counter spells, all removal spells, all non-creature spells just that 1 more expensive, and it can make a massive difference against a deck like Mono Red, where instead of them being able to cast 2 or 3 Monstrous Rages or Ancestral Angers or Play with Fires in the turn, they'll be only able to cost 1. They'll only be able to play 1, and First Strike makes a really good attacker and blocker, especially if you have a Coppercoat Vanguard or an adversary on the battlefield to buff her power. For 3 mana cards, we have Brutal Cathar, a 2-2 that exiles an opposing creature until Cathar leaves the battlefield. As it's a werewolf, it has Daybound, which is a mechanic from Innistrad, meaning it starts a day-night cycle when it ETBs as well. This means that it becomes day, and then anytime a player doesn't play any spells on their turn, it switches to night, and the Cathar will transform into Moonrage Brute, a 3/3 First Strike with Ward, pay 3 life. The Brute doesn't have the Cathar's ETB ability, so if you play one while it's night, you won't get that removal ability, but if a player then plays 2 or more spells during their turn, it does turn back into day, and you get that ETB trigger from the Cathar again. Depending on the board state, if I know I can play 2 spells the following turn, I will sometimes pass. So if it switches to night and Cathar transforms as a 3/3 with First Strike and will pay 3 life, it's very hard to deal with. And then if you know you can play 2 spells, you'll get that ability again, and to remove another creature. And obviously if a opponent plays 2 abilities on their turn, your 2 spells on their turn rather, you'll get that again. Next is Sanguine Evangelist, which along with Squelv are the only non-humans in the deck. It's a 2-1 vampire, and then it has, when it ETBs or dies, you create a 1/1 bat token with flying, and it also has Battle Cry, meaning that whenever the Evangelist attacks, all other creatures you control get +1/+0. This does not include herself, so be careful when trying to work out if you've got lethal or not, as you might calculate 1 extra power. Finally, there's Adeline, Resplendent Cathar, which is a star 4, and its power is equal to the number of creatures you control. And then she has, whenever you attack, create a 1/1 white human creature token that's tapped and attacking that player or a planeswalker they control. She also has vigilance, meaning she can attack and block in one turn cycle. It's important to note that it's whenever you attack with anyone, not necessarily Adeline. So you can play Adeline, she'll have summon sickness, but as long as you've got another creature, you can attack straight away, and you'll get that plus what there. You'll get that 1/1 token straight away, buffing her power as well. And last but not least, we have a Knight-Errant of Eos, which costs 5 mana, which is a lot in this deck. But importantly, it has Convoke, meaning that you can tap creatures you control to help pay for it. Then when it ETBs, you can look at the top 6 of your library. You may reveal 2 creature cards with mana value X or less, where X is a number of creatures that you use to convoke it, and put those creatures into your hand. So if you tap 3 creatures to help cast it, you get to look at the top 6 and put 2 creatures with mana value 3 or less. And that's really the magic number, because apart from the Knight-Errant, all creatures in our deck are 3 or under. So you can play this quite often on turn 3. Turn 1, land and a creature. Turn 2, land and 2 more 1-drops. And turn 3, pay a land, and then you can get this out. You don't even sometimes have to play 2 1-drops on turn 2, because essentially when you play a 1-drop with a creature with Convoke, it pays for itself. So you can play another creature, then tap it, and you'll get a big 4/4 onto the board, and then you will also get 2 more creatures, hopefully if you don't whiff, into your deck. 22 lands in the mana base, 1 Oganjo to help for extra bits of removal. You can ambush attacking and blocking creatures. 1 Cavern of Souls to make all your humans uncounterable, and then 1 Mishra's Foundry just to help chip in with those last few bits of damage, especially useful after a board wipe or something like Temporary Lockdown, which will get rid of most of your creatures. So having this and be able to swing in is really good. You could have more copies of Cavern of Souls. There doesn't seem to be a huge counterspell meta at the moment in Standard. Maybe because everyone's playing Cavern of Souls, people don't really bother with it. But if you do find yourself being countered a lot, you can add in more copies of Cavern of Souls. So that's the deck. But before we get into the gameplay, I just want to ask that if you're enjoying this, please remember to like and subscribe. This is a new channel. Why not only take a second for you to click that bell? It's really important to me and the channel. So, without further ado, on to the gameplay. Okay, turn 1 Squelv, turn 2 Coppercoat Vanguard or Intrepid Adversary or Thalia. Yeah, I'm sure we'll get the 3rd land. Here we go, Thalia turn 2 depending on what they play. There's the 3rd land. I'm not going to tackle Squirrel just in case they can take out Thalia. I can give them protection. That could be a bit of an issue. That's a pretty good card. Could get in with Thalia, but I'd rather save it for protection. We'll play Lunar Veteran and Coppercoat Vanguard, which will give all humans +1/+0, so Thalia can get in and make Dust Animus be a poor block. That's the first strike. They have something. Obviously Thalia taxes everything, and then Squelv can hat to give something protection from a colour of our choice. And also all the humans do have Ward 1 from the Coppercoat Vanguard. So, what I'm thinking we do is play Tribute Adversary, and then we can essentially kick it once to get everything +1/+1. Assuming we don't have a counter. So we've definitely got something. Might be no, it can't be Wandering Emperor because they wouldn't be able to cast it with Thalia. We will also pay that, and we're going to swing with everything apart from Skrells. So everything else +1/+0. Counter the... Oh no, it's going to destroy Skrell. Fair enough, I will let that happen. Or should I give something protection from a colour? Protection from black. Just so they can't double block, and they've got another scroll. Fortunately, we can't get it down this turn. It's a bit annoying. They are almost dead. Unless they have a sweeper, which they might do, or that is a bit of a problem. We'll play out essentially everything. So they essentially have 10 life. Let's just do the math. 3, 6, 8, 12, +4, 16. If they block the adversary, that leaves 3 that we should have lethal. Maths is for blockers. Exacts is even after life gain. Cool. On to the next one. Okay, good curve. Warden of the Inner Sky into Thalia, into Brutal Cathar. We are on the draw, but that's not a massive issue. 2 Brutal Cathars mean we can also take out a couple of their creatures, and Thalia will make it harder for them to deal with it by attacks and everything, and ossification means we can take out a creature as well. They're presumably playing Boros, but not played anything. If they double block, I am okay with that. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Guarantee they've got another resolute reinforcements. Or that's what it definitely feels like. But we can Ganjo if they do flash something in. Or not. Because we have another one, I will just get this down. It means if they just pass their turn again, it will transform. Lethal demolition. Yep. And then they can convoke in a Knight-Errant already, which it looks like they're doing. There we go. Well, we will brutal Cathar the Knight-Errant. Swing in with these two. If they have another Knight-Errant, we can ossification it. But I'm kind of thinking maybe just passing the next turn, depending on what we draw. Oh, it looks like they have a way to get rid of brutal Cathar. There's an own Knight-Errant. I am just going to pass and let the brutal Cathars transform. You'll make them harder to deal with, and then they can probably cast 2 spells in a turn. Well, we can. So we will play that as a land, play Lunark Veteran, and what do we want? Let's ossificate the front niner. Ooh. Play out this, tap in three. Okay, an Adeline is good, and the recruitment officer would have liked another brutal Cathar, but never mind. But then my Moonraze brutes will transform back, and I can get rid of 2 more things. We'll get rid of the Inspector, just because it's not a 1-1, and then get rid of a token, so they do take it out. I'm going to have something. Wanted Emperor.
Done it. Hat's coming off. My judgment is fine.
Let's play out Adeline and the officer. And what do we want to do? Don't mind swinging in with the Knight-Errant. Yeah. So you can chump the token, but all their creatures are 1/1s, because that means something will die. back the veteran. Yeah. Hopefully we can get a few more creatures. Yeah. And that was enough for them. Great, on to the next one. No 2-drop, which is a bit of an issue, but we have Brood of Cathar for removal, and then Knight-Errant of EOS to get us more cards. So we'll keep this, and we are on the draw. Hopefully we'll draw a 2-drop. I fully expect this to be taken out. Oh, I expected a cut down. Deep Cavern Bat. Ooh, no, what's this? When you commit a crime, +1/+1 counter from Valdemar only once a turn. If it has more than 4 or more, +1/+1 counter Mez and Lifelink. That's pretty powerful. So this suggests it's going to be a crime deck, which means if they target us or any of our permanents or anything in our graveyard, another crime. You can cast a copy of a spell in your graveyard, black card from your graveyard. Yeah, in the crime deck, probably not going to last too. They're probably not going to last too much longer. They've not actually shown as a crime yet, but I'm expecting lots of removal, lots of discard effects. Right, let's get down 3 Knight Captains. Well, we want, that's pretty good. And then, actually no. 1, 2. No, we can't cast another one this turn. Brood of Cathar is good, and so is the adversary. It's not going to buff the team, but it does mean it can get in the way of one of their creatures. And has lifelink, which is pretty handy. Turn 5, and they're not actually committed a crime. They are now, there we go. And that's another crime. So pretty good synergy. I'm fine with trading. Unless they... So, Brood of Cathar, the new blood. I'm going to do the Punisher again. Just try and restock our hand again. Tapping Squirrel is not great, but it is what it is. Copper Coat Vanguard gives all my creatures a ward. That's pretty good. And another Brood of Cathar. if they swing in with the Vadmir, I'll trade for the Knight-Errant. Do you have another one? Yeah, I'm fine with that. So 6 mana, we can Brood of Cathar, Skiller King, play out Vanguard, and then swing with these two. We will keep Skrelv back for protection. Yeah, that's why they swung in. Fine. And yeah, too much value. Great, on to the next one. Okay, we're on the play, and we've got Recruitment Officer turn 1 into Coco Vanguard, and Intrepid Adversary. Good hand, definitely keeper. Coco Vanguard will give other humans Warden +1/+0. So having 2 out means they buff themselves, they buff each other, which will be good against a black deck. Letting my creature survive, that is. Some more lands would be helpful. Up against the Golgari deck. Be bricking a bit. Looks like they've got another removal spell. This we can remove with Fortification. Still no land. I'll just bring in for 2. We'll take the Adeline. Yep. Do we have another one? Oh, it's just another removal spell. Lemon cards in, and we've seen 2 lands. Both in our opening hand. It's frustrating. Especially seeing as they seem to have removal of everything we've got. They're not massively far away from casting those virtues as well. Wow! Three Knight-Errant, Levios, no land. At least if we do draw a land and they don't remove either of our creatures, we can play both of them. And if they don't remove either of our creatures, we are potentially getting 6 life a turn. I wonder if that's from the new Harvester of Misery, which when they play each creature is -2/-2, which other creature. Hey, a land. Well, at least we can do this and hopefully find a Brood of Cathar. Nope. But we can do that again. land, they can play a Virtue. Which would be problematic. This is going to be problematic as well. Or at least the Knight-Errant can block this up. Can I play a... Alright, we'll convoke. Brood of Cathar, yes. And then a recruitment officer. And we'll play the Lunarch Veteran. We will double block the Sheldred if they attack again. And I can Cathar the Deep Cavern Bat. I might play out the 2-1 drops just to gain some life. That's if they do attack with Shoulder, which I don't think they will. Oh, they are. Okay, this is dangerous, but that Glisser. Right, Cathar. That gains a life. We'll get rid of Shoulders. And then we will problem with Glisser is it's just so hard to block. So we're going to take her out again with the Brood of Cathar. Assuming they can't take out our current Cathar, which they probably can. But I will chump the Glisser. Ooh, that's interesting. Obviously, you can always take out the Cathar through the speed, or do that. Yep, that's it. It's unfortunate. We just bricked right at the start and couldn't really get back into it when we only had 2 lands for so long, and then only 3 lands. We go first, and we have a good curve. Recruitment officer into Thalia or Ossification, depending on when they play, and then Brood of Cathar. Mono red. If it's a Swift Spear, I will be blocking. No speed, can't block that. But Thalia will make all their burn spells a bit harder to cast. That's not the right move, I don't think. Right. Let's Cathar the Feldon. Swing in. And depending on what they play, I might just skip the turn. So my Cathar transforms. The 3/3 first strike with Wall 3 life, very powerful against mono red. Yep. And I won't attack. So if they've got a lightning strike, they can pay for it, which I believe they have. Yeah, there we go. Get out the adversary, because that'll be able to buff our entire team. And a squirrel. Next turn I can ossification the Felden. I know it gives me cards, but got to. Ossification on, let's do a Swift Spear, and then a Coppercoat Vanguard. Fortunately, prowess works on when a spell's cast, so even if they cast a spell and I use Swell to give something hexproof, I am going to block that. They'll cast a spell. They've only got 3 mana, so they can only do 1. Wow, a lot of Thalias. Fortunately, I'm going to have to stay back. I miscalculated this. Another ossification would have been really helpful. That's it. That puts me down to 2. The Phoenix Shifter swings in for 2. Again, a good curve. Blue Knight Veteran in a Coppercoat Vanguard, which will give the veteran walled and +1/+0. Then into Adeline, and we'll be able to convoke the Knight-Errant as well. At least Coppercoat Vanguard will be able to make it harder for them to take out our other creatures, and our veteran will keep us topped up. That's different. And a good thing is Adeline. Does it do? Untap target land. Oh, that's frustrating. Adeline will be quite hard for them to deal with, having 4 toughness. Four toughness and ward 1. They've got the demonic ruckus, which will give the Swift Spear menace, which is unfortunate, but next time we can get out. We can get our Knight Captain. And a Skrell. We'll get them Adeline, get a token. Then we will convoke and the Vanguard as well. See what we get. A brutal Cathar. Oh, it's one way to whiff. They only have 2 cards as well. Well, there we are. Again, a bit too much value for them. Even well, it wasn't mono red. It was a Boros brew we haven't seen before, but looked quite good. Great. On to the next one. Veteran into Cargo Vanguard, and then hopefully we get that 3rd land for Brutal Cathar. If not, we can play Recruitment Officer and Intrepid Adversary while we wait. There is that 3rd land. We'll play down, get down the Veteran so he can help start gaining his life. So it seems to be Azorius. Play out the. We'll swing in, see what they do. Play out the Vanguard. There's a stick, they've got something. Did miss out on 1 point of damage, but wanted to see if they had anything. Maybe they're struggling on land. So what we'll do is swing in, play out the officer and the adversary. There's no point we're at anything to take out. Although blue-white, there might not be many creatures to. Unfortunate. We don't have any way to remove enchantments either. countered due to Cavern of Souls. At least we can swing in. We'll get a token. I imagine they have another temporary lockdown. Yeah. Wonder if this is a Haughty Djinn deck as well. Yeah, I don't think there's much point continuing. The deck's not the best against control, as we saw there. We're on the draw. We've got a OK curve Warden into Adversary, into Cathar or Evangelist. Seem to be up against a mirror deck. Unfortunately, Skrill's probably a better one drop than Warden. But we can take out Dahlia. With the Brutal Cathar, well actually no we can't because of Skrill, we'll have to take out Skrill. Their own adversary. So we can take out Skrill. No attacks. And on our end step, if that's a problem, we'll take out that adversary. Oh, I misplayed there. I was meant to tap everything for Walden. Alright, we'll play out Vanguard. Our recruitment officers. That way, at least the recruitment officer can take out their adversary. Oh, you can only do it as a sorcery. I didn't realise that. We'll take out the Adeline with our... And then, yeah, we will... We will keep that, so that can take out the adversary, which will be quite good to do if they don't swing in. Yep, that's annoying. Don't need that. Well, surprised I didn't take up my own Cathar. I'm gonna have to jump. Our own Adeline, I'm not sure that does a huge amount, but at least it can block their Adeline. And then no. That's an odd choice. They must have something. So I'll chump there, trade. They must have a second Thalia. Yep. A brutal Cathar or an ossification would be really appreciated. Unfortunately, I can't even make my Warden bigger because that'll mean tapping every creature. And that's also not good. They're looking at everything. Right. You're blocking that. You're blocking that, and we will Ganjo it. You're blocking there, and you're blocking there. That's not what I wanted to Ganjo. I messed that up massively. Oh well. And then another land. That's it. I messed that up. I was meant to Ganjo the Warden of the Inner Sky. I don't know why I Ganjoed the Intrepid Adversary there. That was a punt. On to the next one. Hello Magic fans and welcome back to the wrap up. For me, this is the most consistent deck in Standard, and it's what I use when I'm just playing for fun or trying to get up the rankings. It can struggle a bit against control decks, as if a deck has loads of removal, then it's going to take out all your creatures, you end up doing nothing. You do need a curve, Skrelv and Thalia to really deal with those kind of decks. You can't always guarantee that you'll have those in your opening hand or draw them quick enough. The only other time I seemed to struggle was when I was stuck in 2 lands, but all decks are going to struggle with that. The only change I might consider making is taking out Recruitment Officer and putting in Hope for Initiate. Recruitment Officer is good, a 1-mana 2/1's always useful, but I never found myself needing to use its ability, as I usually have enough cards through for the Knight-Errant. Whereas Hope for Initiate, it's a 1/2 for 1, and there's training, which means when you attack with it alongside a creature of greater power, you put a +1/+1 counter on it, and you can pay 2 and a white to remove 2 +1/+1 counters from amongst any creature you control to destroy a target artifact or enchantment. One of the biggest issues I faced with the deck was Temporary Lockdown. It's a white enchantment that costs 3. It exiles all non-land permanents with mana value 2 or less until it leaves the battlefield, and that is basically, it's going to be most of your board, especially by turn 3. So having a way that can either come down, get some counters, and then destroy it to get all your creatures back, or if they don't play it on curve, if you've already got those counters on it, as soon as it enters the battlefield, you can pay that 3 mana, remove 2 counters, and then destroy it before its ability resolves. And because it's +1/+1 counters from any creature, you will get those pretty quickly from training. So it wouldn't really be an issue. So that's the only other change I'd make. But as I said, it's a very powerful deck, and as I said, it's very consistent and it gets you up the rankings. So if you enjoyed the video, please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.